I don't know if this is a debate so much as something I found interesting that I heard on Chris Finch was on, Wolves head coach Chris Finch was on with PA, Paul Allen, on Tuesday for a long segment on KFan. And one of the first things they talked about was basically PA just kind of lobbed it up there. He asked him a lot of really good questions. It was a good interview, but he just kind of as a way of introducing the whole segment, he was like, "Yeah, what do you think of the NBA Finals so far?" And Finch basically said, I haven't watched a minute of it. I haven't watched any of it. And the underlying message was basically that when you lose, the next round is too painful to watch. Have you found that to be your experience as a sports viewer? And are you surprised that a head coach would adopt that same mentality?
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that Finchie wouldn't look at it, because it's the pinnacle of the sport that he's a coach in. And I'm sure you may have connections with someone who's in the finals. Definitely have a connection with Oklahoma City since his team just lost to them. But maybe he knows the coaches that are involved. Maybe he knows what Carlisle, maybe he knows Dagano. I don't know. So that was a little surprising to me. As someone who was grown up and dealt with heartbreak as a Chicago sports fan, I continued to watch the postseason even after the Bears or the Bulls got ejected from the postseason. So just to see how close we are to being able to get to the top of the mountain. So I was always intrigued by that. But, people process things differently. And if Finchie's best way of unplugging from the season and just to totally detach from everything basketball related, then that's how he rolls. I don't agree with it. I'm a little surprised that he's done it. So, but that tells you how much is eating at him apparently not to take the next step, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that will fuel him to figure out ways to expand his regular season rotation and find more minutes for Terrence Shannon Jr. Maybe and Dillingham. So. That's how he rolls. Everybody's different. I tend to continue to watch these things just to get an idea. Maybe it's punishment for being a disgruntled Chicago sports fan, because championships don't come very often in our town unless Michael Jordan's involved. So
I was going to say you had like 6 and 8 years, and then the Blackhawks had their run. I mean, you can't. These are those have been a while, I suppose, but you've had your glory.
Sports fan would kill to have that success, but I look at it as the 2000s were like 20 years ago, so that Blackhawks dynasty is getting a little old, man. I mean, Jonathan Taves is still trying to play, but man, that seems like a long time ago that Joe Quenneville was behind the bench for the Blackhawks.
It's true. It was kind of funny. I was in Chicago for a sports media conference on the night they clinched their last cup, I think in like 2010, maybe it would have been. And like the town was just, electric on a night like that. You're going from like sports bar to sports bar, everybody's high five, and it's a fun town any time, but it's a fun place to be when they're winning. Now, I'm kind of with Finch on this a little bit. I think I might have said this the other day on the show too. Like when in my pure like fandom days, I would not watch if a team you're rooting for and you're invested in gets to a certain point. I think it is kind of hard to watch afterwards. Like it's hard to watch the Super Bowl after the Vikings lose in the NFC title game. I think it's hard to want to watch. I've still watched the finals. Like this is I'm at a different point in my life, but like I think I kind of get what he's saying, because it's like you don't want, it's too fresh. Even if you respect the team that beat you, which he certainly respects Oklahoma City, he said multiple times, including in that segment, that the better team won. Like the wounds are still a little fresh. He said he will go back and watch it at some point, but I kind of get that. Like you're so disappointed, you don't even want to pay attention anymore.
Well, okay, I could see Vikings fans feeling that way after 2018 when you had a chance to play in the Super Bowl at your own stadium.
Yes.
And blew it because of Philly Special, whatever they called it. 2009, no, I think they could have walked the Super Bowl after that one. So I know the Bounty Gate and all that crap.
Yeah, there was overtime loss. Nobody wanted to watch after that one. Same with 98 after they lost to the Falcons. Nobody wants to watch that. Like maybe it's because the Vikings find a way to lose in spectacular fashion. It's either a complete blowout that nobody saw coming or the biggest overtime heartbreak you can imagine for them.
I don't know. I think 2018 was so rough because this city would have been bonkers for the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Being played in their town. I just think that was a tougher one. I know the ramifications of 2009 and Favre and throwing across the field and could have taken a knee, kicked the field.
Oh yeah, we don't old wounds, Lavelle. You don't need to open them up for all the fans out there. It's okay. No, I get it. Well, and in the 2018 playoffs, it was right after the Minneapolis Miracle too, so people were riding that high for a week until they weren't. I don't know. I just thought I found it interesting more than anything that someone at that high level who loves basketball would just say, "No, I haven't watched it because it's too painful."
Foles.
Right.